Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here for the Hubbard County Planning Commission Board of Adjustment, the Monday, May 18th, 2026 meeting. I will begin by reading the meeting procedure. The Hubbard County Planning Commission Board of Adjustment meeting procedures. All persons in attendance at the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment meetings are expected to comply with the following meeting procedure. Thank you in advance for helping make this a manageable meeting. Copies of agenda item materials are available for public viewing on the table located at the back of the meeting room. These materials are not to leave the table so that others in attendance may also view them. Please turn phones to vibrate or off during the meeting and conduct any sidebar conversations outside of the meeting room. Interruptions or other interference with the orderly conduct of the PCBOA meeting will not be allowed. Defamatory or abusive remarks are always out of order. Disruptive persons will be removed from the meeting. The chair may terminate a speaker's privilege of address if, after being called to order, the speaker persists in improper conduct or remarks. Written material concerning agenda items must be submitted to the Environmental Services Department by 3:30 p.m. on the Wednesday immediately prior to the meeting date. Written materials will not be accepted after this deadline or at the meeting because the PCBOA will not have sufficient time to review them prior to the meeting. Such material must state the agenda item for which it is being submitted and the name and address of the submitting party. The Planning Commission business is conducted first, followed by the Board of Adjustment business. The chair will call the meeting to order and explain the meeting procedure. The chair will read each agenda item into the record and ask the applicants to come forward to the presenter's table, state his, her, or their names and address for the record, and explain his, her, or their request. The PCBOA will then discuss the agenda item with the applicant. The chair will then ask for public comments on the agenda item, and to facilitate an orderly, efficient meeting, there is a 3-minute speaking time limit per speaker per agenda item unless the chair allows the speaker additional time. The chair may terminate the speaker's privilege of address if, after being called to order, the speaker persists in improper conduct or remarks. When the chair recognizes a speaker, he or she may approach the audience podium and microphone, state his, her full name and address for the record, and write such on the speaker log, and then share his or her comments. The audience podium microphone must be used by the recognized speaker because the meeting is recorded. A member of the public may not donate his or her speaking time to another speaker. A speaker should state his or her comments and address the issue, not the applicant's. All comments are to be directed towards the PCBOA. Please do not repeat comments already made by previous speakers. The chair reserves the right to ask a group with similar comments to appoint a spokesperson. If written comments have been submitted to the PCBOA, please do not read them aloud during the meeting as they are already part of the record and copies thereof have been given to the PCBOA. After everyone wanting to speak on an agenda item has done so, the chair will close the public comment period on the agenda item. No further public comment will be taken after this point. The chair will give the applicant an opportunity to address issues raised during public comment. The PCBOA will then continue its discussion on the agenda item and the chair will entertain a motion on it. The PCBOA may make a motion to pass, deny, or table the item. Once a motion is made and seconded, the PCBOA will develop findings of facts for conditional use permit and variance applications and then vote on the motion. Once a vote is taken on the agenda item, the PCBOA will move on to the next agenda item. Meetings commence at 6 p.m. and will continue until all agenda items have been heard or until 10 p.m. No new agenda items shall be considered after 9:45 p.m. The PCBOA may, at its discretion, continue an item that is on the floor at 10 p.m. Any remaining agenda items shall be continued to another date or time, preferably the immediately following Tuesday at 6 p.m. No further public comment or public notice will be provided for such a meeting continuation. The PCBOA, through the chair, may modify these procedures prior to a meeting or an agenda item. Okay, the first item will be the Planning Commission. Approval of the minutes. Do I have any comments on the April 27th, 2026 meeting minutes? If not, how about a motion to accept the minutes?
This is Ken. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of April 27th meeting.
This is Tim. I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Ken and a second by Tim to approve the April 27th, 2026 meeting minutes. Timothy, how do you vote?
This is Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Mike, I vote aye.
And myself, I vote aye, 4-0. The minutes have been approved. Next is old business, there's none. New business, we have minor subdivision application by Rivers Edge Cattle Company, LLC, part of the Southwest Quarter, Section 5, Township 140, Range 34, Henrietta Township, Parcel 13.05.00610. The applicant is proposing to subdivide 72.26 acres into 4 tracts. Thank you, sir. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Trenton Simon, 1217 First Street East, Park Rapids, Minnesota.
Okay, thank you. And just a description of your subdivision.
So what we were doing is we have 72 acres out here of original Tract M of Rivers Edge Cattle Company. With that, we are doing a minor subdivision into 4 separate tracts. 2, that would be 9 acres down off of 210th Street, and then 1 off of County 4, or 2 off of County 4, M1 and M2 off County 4.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit more for the record here. So you mentioned the 4 tracts proposed in the application, the 2 tracts that would abut the east side of the County 4 and via access County 4 road, and the other 2 would be assessed by the 210 Township Road. They all meet the minimum lot size requirements and the 300 lot width, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And they all have no more than 4 tracks confront a side of a public road in the quarter section. You have site evals on file showing the 2 suitable drain fields. We have a letter from Henrietta Township zoning as well. Do we have any questions or comments from the board? I do know that we also have a letter here. We have a couple different letters from the land use attorney and the highway engineer about the exits, the approaches on County 4. Do we have any comments from the members here on that?
Maybe the only one that, it appears the only major concern is with access to County 4. If you had to do an easement for M1 and M2 off of 4, but rather to, I guess, 210th Street, how would you propose doing that?
Well, the building site where those trees would be in that north part up in the trees. So there's an access already off of County 4 already that's there that they're being used. It doesn't make sense to come all the way across the whole field to be able to do that. They would maybe take M1 and M2 and do one access point, giving easement up to M1 from that single access point that you guys saw when you were out there.
When you talk, right
of M2.
right at the edge of M1 on the north, there's I'll call it an access or where it's been filled in the field road. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's south of that hill, and you can kind of see the road tracks. They're using that right now,
Yeah.
going up into, that would be where that house is gonna be, in that opening amongst the south
If you
part of
drop
the trees.
that down, Eric,
It's gonna be a little, right about where,
it's above that.
it'll be
above
right
the-
about, it'll be right about there where they're coming in.
There's also one on the other side of it.
That's on a different track. That's in a different track that's owned by someone else. The one on the north of it is owned by
It
someone
looked to
else.
me like right where your tract line comes in there.
That would be off of that 50 acres on the north.
Oh, okay, so it is on the other property.
on the
But
north.
it's easy, it would be easy to build an access.
On the south side of that, on the south side of those trees.
Okay.
Yeah. There's already been they're already using that access right there. It's been that way.
Does, this is Tim, is the River Edge Cattle Company own all these, or you have any of these sold?
The one to the north is sold. Everything on the east is sold. We're currently under contract on everything on the east. This one is currently sold, and it's the buyer that is wanting them to be split, and was asked to have these split, and that's part of their contingency to buy it, was to be able to do the split, because they didn't need they didn't need the 4 parcels for the land for themselves. So that's why they purchased it, in the purchase agreement it was asked for. So that's why we're being asked to split it.
This is Mike, that M2 is 44 acres, or you think that's gonna get split again?
That's where he's building his house.
Okay.
Under ordinance, it probably could be split, but you're gonna have the same access questions you guys are asking me at this point too.
That's where I was going with that, wondering if
I mean, if
whoever
they're-
owned that would be thinking about easement, rather than another approach if they did.
Yeah,
some-
you would have to do an easement of some kind, at that point.
Right.
you know.
Okay.
We understand access points. We understand that all of a sudden we're challenged with, if we were on 71, we'd be every 600 to 800 feet. We understand the access. Is this gonna spur the county to make decisions on where access points are in County 4? Maybe. Maybe not. But we're gonna have individual conversations like this every time. I mean, it's only gonna be a driveway of maybe two access points at that point.
This is Ted. I could see track 2, especially if they were looking at an easement coming from 210. I think that'd be challenging to try to put a road through there.
For sure.
Or a driveway or anything. It seems like it all goes downhill.
You're exactly right, yeah.
So it's, like I say, just looking at it myself, I think it'd be a challenge to try to get a access road through there or driveway.
I agree myself.
Public comment.
Yep. Okay, at this time, I'm gonna go ahead and open for public comment. And seeing no public comment, I will close public comment.
This is Ken. I want to add some thoughts to this. I drive that road probably 10 times a week at least. From Highway 4 up to 210, there are 41 access points. There are none from 210 all the way to 18, which is about a mile. The point I'm trying to make is that road has a lot of accesses, and personally, 2 more is probably not a big issue. I know the county engineer indicated passing zone, but if you drive that road, there's a yellow no passing line almost continuously on one side of the road or other, all the way from 210 to 18, and a lot of it's double striped. So the point I'm trying to make is that I don't see a big issue with that being a major passing area. And I think the visibility is reasonable. And you mentioned that access. When I drive, there are a couple of what would have been field accesses very close to the north end of M1, which would indicate that it would be easy to create an access. And you say there's already one on M2. There's also a field access very close to the private residence. Point I'm making is I don't see a big issue with traffic issues that would warrant the kind of easement and all the legal work and activity that goes with having to have easement. So I would be supportive of having access from M1 and M2 directly to 4 in appropriate locations, so.
Okay, any other comments? Eric, have you received any other comments from the engineer once you received the input that we got today?
No.
No, okay, thank you. Okay, again, this is Veronica, I'm in favor of it as well. I agree with a lot of the comments that have been provided, that the access there with 2 more accesses should be reasonable. So if anybody's ready to make a motion?
We're recommending this to the commissioners then, right? No?
Nope.
Nope, you have final.
You get the say.
Okay, I would make a motion that we accept the application from River's Edge Cattle Company as presented.
Okay, I I have a motion by Ken to approve the minor subdivision application as presented.
This is Mike, I'll second that.
Okay, and I have a second from Mike. Timothy, how do you vote?
This is Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
This is Ken, I vote aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Mike, I vote aye.
And this is Veronica, I vote aye. Your application has been approved. Your decision letter will be mailed out within the next few days and with the following steps that you know to do, so. Okay,
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
very much,
Thanks.
appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay, that wraps up our planning commission. We will move on to the Board of Adjustment. Okay, the first thing on the Board of Adjustment will be the approval of the April 27th, 2026 meeting minutes. Do I have any questions or comments over the meeting minutes that are presented?
This is Tim. I'll make a motion to approve the April 27th, 2026 Board of Adjustment minutes.
Okay, thank you, Tim. I have a motion to approve the minutes by Tim. How about a second?
This is Ken, I'll second the motion.
Okay, and a second by Ken. So, Mike, how do you vote?
Mike, I vote aye.
Timothy, how do you vote?
It's Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
This is Ken, I vote aye.
And this is Veronica. The April 27th, 2026 meeting minutes have been approved. Okay, next item on the agenda will be variance application, old business variance application 64-V-25 by Pamela Greene, part of Government Lot 7 and part of the northwest quarter of the southeast quarter, Section 1, Township 140, Range 35, Todd Township on Fishhook Lake, a recreational development lake, parcel 27.01.02700. The applicant is requesting an after-the-fact variance from Section 502.2 of the Shoreland Management Ordinance for a platform located within the 100-foot ordinary high watermark structure setback. Okay, thank you, Mrs. Greene. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Pamela Greene, 21226 Fawn Trail, Park Rapids, Minnesota.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Greene. Go ahead and state your request at this time.
I'm requesting to be able to get a variance to leave the 8 by 12-foot platform that I have at the lake, on the lake bank, that anchors my steps and the whole dock system. It's been in place for 13 years, and I guess my fault as an owner, I didn't know, first of all, that I needed a permit to put it in there. Secondly, everybody I've hired to do work in the last 13 years has always taken care of getting all the permits that I need. So it anchors the shore. The shoreline has not moved since it was put there. It's not a permanent structure. It's basically two dock sections put together on a wood base.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Greene. Do I have any questions or comments from the board members?
You pull those steps every winter up off
Yes.
this? Okay.
Yes, they lay them on top of the platform.
What is the wood structure underneath the aluminum deck? Is the aluminum deck just set on a wood structure, or is it part of it? How is it constructed?
No, it's just set on that wood structure. They built the wood structure, and then the two dock systems are hooked together and they set on it.
Okay.
Mike, are you planning on doing that alteration work yet?
No,
That's all.
no, I think it was $50,000 worth was the quote.
50,000 for what?
for the, that's what Scott quoted me for all the alteration that was required if I was gonna redo the shoreline.
You've had riprap placed along that shoreline.
It was there when I bought the place 13 years ago. But you can see that some of it, I mean, it was all rock, and through the years, when the ice leaves, it pulls some of the rock away. So I was gonna have Scott, he told me he could just put some more rock on the shoreline. That's all I thought it was gonna be. And when he came in to get a permit, then there was all kinds of stipulations that had to be done.
It's starting to wash out underneath those timbers. Are you planning on doing anything with that?
Yeah, I'll probably have somebody shore it up with some more rock. It hasn't moved in the 13 years, but that's not saying that it won't.
Eric, if I recall, what would be allowed is something up to 32 square feet.
Correct.
Versus the 90 some that's there. How hard would it be to cut out, I guess, 8 feet of that 12 feet width? Do I have that right? Yeah. 12 feet, yeah, to cut that 12 feet back to 4 feet.
I don't think they could cut those dock panels. It'd probably have to be totally rebuilt, would be my guess.
Well,
And I've got the railings that go in the front of it.
are the platform, can you pick it up off the wood, those
Yes.
two metal platforms?
Yes, you can.
So you could cut back the wood structure to 4 feet, right?
Probably, I'd have to check with somebody that,
Yeah.
a handyman,
Yeah,
a builder. I just
then
don't think
just-
they could cut those dock panels. They'd have to come up with some other system.
well, you could turn one, it'd be then, an 8x4, which is 32. You could just turn it and you'd have 8 feet long to 4 feet wide, which would be sufficient.
It looks like it's two pieces there anyway,
Yeah.
It
in
is.
that picture.
It is.
So if you'd just make the wood structure the right size, you could use one of those sections and turn it 90 degrees and you would meet the requirements. It would appear to me that you definitely want to retain that step,
Yeah, the step hooks onto it.
yeah,
So-
the aluminum step stuff that's there. You wouldn't want to try to build steps down that bank, I don't think.
No, preferably not.
Okay.
Okay, this is Veronica. I'm going to go ahead and open for public comment. And seeing no public comment, I will close public comment.
This is Tim. So did the dock company choose that size of platform for you?
It was, I don't remember the gentleman's name, but it was somebody that was selling docks on Highway 71 13 years ago. And I just went there to see what he would come up with, and that's what he came up with. I don't know, I have a tree right there behind the platform, a big willow, or a
Birch.
birch tree, yep. So I don't know how much room there is from the edge of that platform back to that tree, if we turn it the lengthways.
Well, you're only allowed 4 by 8 anyway,
Right.
Yeah.
so.
That's why I'm applying for the variance. Isn't a variance, then you can go above that limit.
Well, and this is Veronica speaking, situations that we try to go by for the variance is when you can't meet the shoreland management ordinance. If there's anything that's keeping you from it, there's really not anything hindering you, keeping you from meeting this 32 square foot platform. There's not a reason to not have it meeting our setback requirements. It's, you know, there's not any situations unique to the property that we are trying to utilize here. So that's number 3, is the need for the variance due to circumstances unique to your property and not created by the current or prior owners. There's not really anything unique that we could describe to say that we can allow you to keep the larger 92 square feet than when it's 32 is the ordinance. And it's not in harmony to let you retain it. It's not in harmony with the ordinance's intent.
Yeah.
Too
that's-
close to, it's too close to the lake to qualify for the platform requirements, so it's gotta be. You looking for a motion?
Yes, yep, please.
I think on the basis that it would be pretty easily to make this conforming, I think I would make a motion that we deny the application and that we accept the findings of facts from the staff.
This is Timothy. I'll second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Ken to deny the application and accept the staff's findings of facts with a second by Tim. Timothy, how do you vote?
This is Timothy. I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Mike, I vote aye.
And this is Veronica. I also vote aye. So, Mrs. Greene, a decision letter will be mailed to you with the outcome of the variance app tonight, and then the next steps that will need to be taken, because with this application, you have the violation letter that said June 30th to have your stuff completed, so you'll have to visit with Environmental Services about that.
So I have to have it done by June 30th?
According to your violation letter, you had the dates of yes. You had the 2, 3, and 4 of what to do on removing the platform, reducing the size, or relocating it by June 30th, 2026. And since the after-the-fact variance was denied, those are your 3 choices left for the next few weeks. So, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Next item on the agenda is going to be the new business, variance application 11-V-26 by Eric and Kurt Peterson. Lots 15, 16, 17, and 18, Block 1, second addition to Pine Haven Beach, Section 8, Township 139, Range 34, Hubbard Township, near Long Lake, a recreational development lake. Parcel 1438-57600. The applicants have decided to withdraw their application as they were able to realize that they had permittable options meeting the shoreline management setbacks, so therefore there was no action necessary on this application. So we're gonna jump to the next one. Variance application 12-V-26 by Dinner Lake LLC, part of the northeast quarter of the southeast quarter, Section 30, Township 142, Range 35, Clover Township, Parcel 05.30.00500. The applicant is requesting a variance from Section 4, Subdivision A1B1 of the subdivision ordinance to create a tract that will not comply with the required 300-foot minimum lot width. Okay, thank you. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Ryan Arndt, 34881 County Highway 46.
Okay, can you please speak just a little closer to the microphone? Thank you.
Ryan Arndt, 34881 County Highway 46, Park Rapids.
Okay, thank you. And go ahead and give us a description on your subdivision request, please.
So the northernmost tract of the proposed subdivision, Tract A, as it states in the information there. Will not meet the width requirement, the 300-foot minimum width requirement in the northeast corner, based on a 40-foot by 40 easement with a communication shelter in that eastern portion. So it's only the last 40 feet of that lot.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. This one seems pretty cut and dry in my opinion, with just that little section that's not applicable. Septic evals have been included in the packet. It meets all the other requirements for the subdivision. Do we have any questions or comments before I open public comment? No? Okay, I'm gonna open for public comment. And seeing no public comment, I'll close public comment.
It seems so pretty straightforward, just a piece of history that constrains that one little corner, makes no real difference, and I'd be willing to make a motion if you want it.
Sure, absolutely.
I'll make a motion that we approve application 12V26 and accept the staff's findings of fact.
This is Tim, I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Ken to approve the variance application 12V26 as presented, adopting the staff's findings of facts, and a second by Tim. Timothy, how do you vote?
This is Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
This is Ken, I vote aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Mike, I vote aye.
And this is Veronica, I vote aye. The application is approved. You'll be receiving a decision letter from Environmental Services on your next steps. Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda, variance application 13-B-26 by Larry and Rilla May, part of the northeast quarter of the southeast quarter, section 13, Township 140, range 35, Todd Township, parcel 27.13.03400. The applicants are requesting a variance from section 1, subdivision J of the subdivision ordinance to allow lots to contain both abstract and Torrens lands, and from the requirement in section 4, subdivision A1, A2 of the shoreline ordinance that non-conforming lots must become more conforming after a boundary line adjustment. Thank you. All right, if you could please state your name and address for the record.
Sarah Swanson. I'm counsel for Larry and Rilla May, 120 North Main Avenue, Park Rapids.
Okay, thank you for Ms. Swanson.
I'm Carl May.
Okay, thank you, Carl. All right. Carl, you want to go ahead and throw in your address for the record for me, please?
19245 159th Avenue.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Swanson, if you want to go ahead and with the request.
Sure, yep. This is regarding parcel 2713-03400. It's a non-conforming and landlocked parcel in Todd Township. We have received Todd Township zoning approval for subdividing this lot into 3 parcels and then joining each of those smaller parcels to the neighboring adjacent lot in the plat of Mayview Manor. It's a little bit of a unique situation. The subject lot was obtained by the applicants after they had platted Mayview Manor. When Mayview Manor was platted, it was registered as Torrens property. This subject lot is currently abstract property. We went through the process of obtaining a certificate of possessory title, which is, I think it might be the first time it's been done in Hubbard County. The examiner of titles had suggested doing it because of the nature of this particular tract. It has been owned by Larry and Rilla May for over 20 years. And just as he suspected, there were no no other parties that needed to be notified of this registration process. So with the certificate of possessory title, it will become fully registered after 5 years. And so one of the reasons for the variance application is to combine the parcels, which are abstract and Torrens, soon to be both Torrens. And the second is that they are non-conforming. The lots all themselves are non-conforming, so subdividing into 3 smaller pieces alone would of course not comply with the spirit of the ordinance, but the request is to combine the subdivided parcels with the adjoining parcels, making them all more conforming.
It's a lot of work to get right where we want it to be, though.
It is a lot of work.
I appreciate that.
Eric, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Ken.
Eric, here's a question. There's a lot of little moving parts here. If we approve this, do we have to worry about the process by which the RLS and CPT and all that stuff plays out, and eventually the administrative connection of them? Will that normally get taken care of, or do we have to worry about that in some fashion if we're in favor of this application?
It's not something you'll have to worry about. It's a thing that our department will keep an eye on to make sure all the remaining steps would occur.
Okay. And if I understand, there's 2 parts of this. One is the fact that these are the A parcels or abstracts and the other are Torrens. But the second one is when they are combined, lots 14, 15, 16 become more non-conforming only because it's not a full 150 feet, right? Those are the constraints that are around it. But we don't have to worry about a lot of the legalistic stuff if we're in favor of the ultimate outcome becoming, as they're proposing, 14A gets combined with 14, et cetera. Yeah, okay.
Right, I'm going to go ahead and open for public comment. And seeing no public comment, I'll close public comment. Basically, the supporting statement number 2 of the staff report kind of puts that all in a little nutshell, eliminating this non-conforming landlocked tract by dividing it into 3 pieces that will be combined with 3 adjacent non-forming platted lots to make 3 lots come closer to the minimum lot size is the reasonable request. So that kind of just puts it all together. So I agree. I think it's one more step closer to this project, so I'm in favor of the application as well. So if anyone cares to make a motion, I'm ready.
I'll make it. I'll make a motion that we accept application 13V26 and adopt the staff's findings of facts.
This is Mike, I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion by Ken to approve the variance application 13V-26 as presented, a second by Mike, and adopting the staff's findings of facts. Timothy, how do you vote?
This is Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
This is Ken, I vote aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Mike, I vote aye.
And this is Veronica, I also vote aye, and you will receive a decision letter from the Environmental Services Office with the next steps for all that lengthy project for you ahead, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda, variance application 14-B-26 by Russell and Rebecca Beerbaum, Lot 2, Block 2, Spider Lake Shores, Section 34, Township 141, Range 33, Mantrap Township, near Spider Lake, a recreational development lake, parcel 20.43.03100. The applicants are requesting a variance from the requirement in Section 4, Subdivision A1, A2 of the subdivision ordinance that a non-conforming lot must be more conforming with one or more provisions of the ordinance or shoreline management ordinance after a boundary line adjustment. Okay, thank you. All right, here we go. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Sarah Swanson, counsel for the applicants, 120 North Main Avenue, Park Rapids.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Swanson. And the applicant, please, name and address for the record.
Russ Beerbaum, 24756 Goldfinch Drive, Nevis.
Thank you, sir. And go ahead, Ms. Swanson, with the,
Yeah, thank you. In a nutshell, what happened here with this property is the neighbors to the north constructed a storage shed back in 2004. 2004. Yeah, and for whatever reason, had mistakenly understood the location of the boundary lines. I think it was unintentional, but they did build their storage shed essentially half on their own property and half on the applicants, the Beerbaum's properties. The Beerbaums are in the process of readying their property for sale. And so in doing so, had the property surveyed, and that's when this issue was discovered. They did attempt some negotiations with their neighbor, including a land swap. But we were not able to come to any kind of agreement there. And so as a result, the Beerbaums are essentially offering or have offered to give this surveyed triangle parcel around the neighbor's shed. They've offered to give that to them. In doing so, it creates a lot that is it's too narrow. And one part, and also the lot is non-conforming to begin with, and so it will become more non-conforming. However, being that the applicants did not create the problem, they're trying to simply remedy the problem. We request that that the variance be allowed so that the title issues can be cleared and the parties can move forward. We do note that in the staff report, there was a suggestion or recommendation that there be a stipulation on the variance to include no further development of this property. And we respectfully request that the board would consider not including that stipulation. Like I said, the Beerbaums are trying to sell the property. That would significantly limit what a future owner may or may not want to do with the property. There is a very clear understanding, and this would be communicated to any future buyer, that the lot, nothing could be done on the lot without a future variance, the granting of a future variance. So there are protections built in there for what a future owner may want to do. We simply just ask that the Beerbaum's hands essentially not be as tied as they're trying to move forward and just sort of be neighborly.
okay, thank you so much. Do you have any questions or comments from the board at this time?
This is Ken. First for Eric, the minimum lot size of a non-repairing lot is 80,000 square feet. So this is 48 versus 80. So it's that's a little bit over half of what's allowed. Okay. And for Mr. Birnbaum, 20 years it's been there, and you didn't know it was on your property?
No, it did not. The first building, the one that's encroached on our lot, was assumed to be placed correctly. As it turns out, when we came ready to sell, and we started checking the records, and then subsequently a survey.
When did you build your storage shed?
Pardon?
When did you build yours?
After they built theirs.
Like how long ago?
2010.
It was 4 years apart.
4 years apart.
So yours has been there like 16 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right. It was a rude awakening, a surprise. So here we are.
Both lined them up with the road, and now what's
That is part of the problem. These lots are, as you can see, at a pretty severe angle to the road, and where both of these the neighbor's storage shed and subsequently ours are lined up perpendicular to the road.
If I may point out, the lot is non-conforming to begin with. And so carving this piece out, it really doesn't make it that much more non-conforming, albeit of course it does, but it goes from about 52,000 square feet to 48,000 square feet, so.
Okay.
Yeah, and it drops the buildable area as well from 40,000 to 36,619. But again, like you mentioned, it was already a legal non-conforming. I agree with that too. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to open for public comment. No public comment, so I'll close public comment. This is Veronica speaking. I reviewed this application pretty thoroughly as well, trying to see with the legal non-conformities about that possible condition on there as well. I don't foresee a need for that condition personally, because as the applicant's counsel said, it was non-conforming to begin with. If there was going to be any type of residential unit, and that it would need a variance. Is that correct, Eric?
Not necessarily.
So prior to this, I mean, I looked at all the other lots around it that are very similar in size and in that area. They didn't have to go through the variance process on those that have residential structures or expansions.
I would have to look at those
Okay.
to be able to comment. Would depend on when they got developed.
So if a condition isn't placed on this particular piece of property, then anyone could come in and possibly build something other than an accessory structure on here?
If they can show two suitable
Drain
drainfield
fields?
sites, yes.
Okay.
All of these lots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they're all undersized? If I'm doing the math. They're 300 by 150,
Yeah,
or
these-
275, so those are all around. They're more riparian sized lots, right? They were all created, somebody do the math, my brain doesn't do that. It's about 40,000, so yeah,
Yeah.
150, 275, they're probably close to the standard 40,000.
I do believe that's correct.
Huh?
That is correct.
Yeah. It would sort of maybe make your argument appropriate that we shouldn't put that restriction, but leave it up to future variances.
Except that Eric just said a variance may not need to be utilized if they have two drain field sites.
Oh, okay.
If I may, though, because of this variance, this lot will be subject to variance approval for anything in the future.
With that 93.5, no.
Oh, that's not correct. I apologize. I thought if there was a variance on a,
I take that back. You're right, Sarah. Because of the triangle that they'd be conveying, that would cause the lot to not meet minimum width requirement at that
Wait, where it
point.
takes it down to the 93.5 now? Okay, so that's where I thought the main problem happened there, is that other things. So it will trigger that they would have to have a variance, since it doesn't meet the lot.
for any future development, because this lot can only be developed by a variance in the future.
So personally, that being said, with it not meeting the minimum lot width requirement, it's gonna trigger a variance application. So then, again, there's no sense in putting other restrictions on it if it's already gonna have that one, per se. It's, either way, I can go either way with it. If you're gonna have a condition, then the findings of facts are ready for you. If you're not gonna have a condition, then you'll just have to edit number 1.
Is there any develop on these other lots, 3, 4, 5? Are there structures on those other lots
There's a few.
behind you?
We're the last lot before you run into a block, like a 40 acre.
There is?
There and have houses.
In that one. And those are residential?
That one is, and that one
Oh,
is.
they're on Glen Haven? You're facing Glen Haven?
Yeah, I looked at those.
Not everyone. I think there's one lot that might not be developed.
Okay. So why would we restrict them from building a house on that one? Right. Make a motion.
Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments? Well, this is Veronica speaking. I would make a motion to approve the application as presented with adopting the staff's findings of facts with editing findings of facts. Question number 1, is the variance in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the official controls? It will be yes, but we will omit the very last sentence, as there's not going to be any condition placed. And I will adopt the rest of the findings of facts.
This is Tim, I'll second that motion.
Okay, so there's a motion by myself to approve the variance application 14B26 as presented, editing the findings of facts number 1, adopting 2 through 5. A second by Tim. Timothy, how do you vote?
It's Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
Just can I vote aye?
Mike, how do you vote?
Like I vote aye.
And this is Veronica, I vote aye. Decision letter will be mailed out with the next steps, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, variance application 15-V-26 by Richard Kraus, Lot 6, Block 1, Payne Lake Points, Section 21, Township 143, Range 34, Lake George Township on Payne Lake, a natural environment lake, parcel 17.43.00600. The applicant is requesting an after-the-fact variance from Section 601.3A of the Shoreland Management Ordinance to exceed the 150 square foot maximum area allowed for a platform used as a water-oriented accessory structure. Okay, thank you. Could you please state your name and address for the record?
Name is Richard Kraus. My physical address is 36839, County 4, Lake George, Minnesota.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kraus.
And
go-
Jean Kraus, and it's 36839, County 4, Lake George.
Thank you. If you go ahead and proceed with your variance request.
We've got a fire circle that's located between the house and the lake. We bought the house in October of '23. The fire circle was there. When we bought it, we assumed everything was up to code. And in talking this past winter with a person from the building permitting about a different item, she noticed that the fire ring was there and said there was no permit for it. The fire ring is rocks and gravel. I guess I don't know what to say. It's there.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Do I have any questions from the board members at this time?
I have a question for Eric. If this were not a natural environment lake, and this ring were back 50 feet, would it be allowed to be built? It would not be.
It's too large. It'd be a
Still,
lot-
the 150 square foot for a platform is all the way up to the 100-foot setback. Okay. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is Veronica speaking. So at what point did you realize that the fire ring was in violation?
This past winter, when I came, I was questioning the possibility of getting a variance to put a patio door on the house to replace a couple of windows. that's when the person came up with, told me that there was never a permit taken out for it. I was, like I said, I assumed when we purchased the property, everything was up to code.
Public comment.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and open for public comment. There's no public comment. I'll close public comment.
This is Tim. We run into the same thing here where we can't answer the findings of facts to support approval. Because we have to be able to answer them affirmative. And so, it's not in harmony. You can put it to the correct size and you can change it to meet the ordinance, so I can't be in favor of it.
What is this? My present position is we've sold the house, and we are closing on it on the 3rd of June. The new buyers, I put it in the disclosures that this was a problem. They're going to be the ones saddled with it. What needs to be done to meet the board's approval?
It can be reduced in size to the maximum of 150 square feet.
The ring of rocks is what,
Right, yep, if you
You're
reduce the
referring to-
size, because right now it's 402 square feet, so if you reduce the size to 150 square feet, and it could be permitted as a water-oriented structure. So it could stay in its very similar location and be reduced in size. Again, that's something that you would have to contact environmental services with to have them help you on, establishing the proper sizing but right now it's 402 square feet.
Okay, the rocks that are closest to the lake, is it better for them to bring that part? Are they worried about the water?
no. Worried about the size.
It's the
Yes,
platform
Oh,
area.
because it's too close.
Yeah, it's the platform area
Okay.
that's too close to the lake, to the,
So we're gonna have to decrease that by at least over 50%. And you're looking from the circle of, the fire circle to the outer ring at 8 feet. You're gonna be dropping that down to less than 4 feet, which is, can't even put it, if you get a fire in there, you can't put a chair around it.
Basically, your
Remove
fire
the-
pit's
just
4.
Remove the outer ring.
Yeah. You'd have to basically get rid of that whole outer ring. Those big, 2 huge boulders, I assume, could stay there.
and the gravel,
look
there's
kinda
like
natural.
class 3
What?
there, or there's gravel that's there.
Yeah, it's just gravel around
Yeah,
there.
they've got, it looks like grass here, but it's
that'd have to be
class
vegetated.
3, yes, it needs
Well,
vegetation.
now it's kind of weedy.
Okay, so basically, if we would tell them those rocks would have to be removed. We could get by with leaving the 2 larger boulders because that's gonna take, heavy equipment to move
Well,
them.
those look like they're naturally there, right?
No, they were not.
I have no idea.
Well,
They were
I
not
can't
there.
say that for sure, one way or the other.
individual, if those 2 big individual rocks were left there, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Actually, there's almost
three,
3
4
there,
of
I
them.
think, Ken?
Or 3?
Yeah,
Is
I
there a
think
third one?
there's 3.
If they just sit there by themselves, they're not influencing anything. That's a lot of moving to make for no benefit. The whole ring needs to be removed. And you could have an area about 7 feet in diameter, which would meet the 150 square feet. So you could have about 1.5 feet outside of the current rocks on your fire pit as the limit,
Okay.
if my math is right.
Yeah, this is Veronica speaking. I'm not in favor of approving the application as like the other members have stated, that we have to answer these affirmatively. And number 3, we cannot, because it says it's the need for a variance due to circumstances unique to the property and not created by the current or prior owners. And this, apparently has been created by the prior owners and is not unique, so there's not a reason that it can't meet the requirements. Then when you have permittable options, just reducing the size is a permittable option.
I would be perfectly fine with removing that outer ring of rocks. Like I said, if I could leave those boulders, because that's gonna take heavy equipment to move them.
Well,
But yeah, that's reasonable.
Not too sure I understood that. What did you say about what did you just propose?
I just proposed to remove the ring of stones
Yeah.
around there. If I could leave the boulders, it would be beneficial. But I could remove that ring of stones.
This is Veronica speaking. Denying the application is denying the application. He will have to speak with Environmental Services on the
About leaving the
reduction,
rock,
the
yeah.
reduction part. And
Yeah.
if that's part of the reduction request that he wants to keep that, that's
We'd have to come up with findings for them big boulders if.
yeah, if we were going that route.
And it's the same problem.
Correct.
So unfortunately, we can't say to leave them.
We can't, but he can come back. I don't know. I don't think there's any reason to have to remove those boulders. I mean, why do we not want developed areas close to the lake because there's a runoff, et cetera? Those 2 or 3 large, huge boulders are not going to have any significant effect to the lake. I don't know how we do that, but other than deny it,
Correct. Denying it's
on the
going.
premise that he will have to remove all that whole ring of rocks. I don't know. We could indicate that our consensus is that he can leave the 3 large boulders, but that's up to Environmental Services,
Exactly.
yeah, to decide.
Right.
Okay.
That's, okay.
This is Tim, I'll make a motion.
Get rid of the fire pit,
Hey,
and the
thanks,
3
Tim.
boulders take up to 150 square feet.
This is Tim. I'll make a motion to deny variance application 15-V-26 and accept the staff's findings of facts.
This is Veronica. I second the motion. It's a motion by Timothy to deny the application 15-V-26 and adopt the staff's findings of fact, seconded by myself. Timothy, how do you vote?
Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
Just can't I vote aye?
Mike, how do you vote?
Like I voted on.
And this is Veronica. I'll also vote aye. So the application has been denied. You'll receive a decision letter from Environmental Services on the next steps to help you reduce that in size. If you have questions, you can ask them, someone at the, in the office, to give you guidance if you need guidance on those big timber, or those big boulders.
All right.
And what you can retain and what you want to retain for your next
Thank you.
owners. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Okay, variance application 16-V-26 by John Chuba and Stephen Rule. Part of Government Lot 1, Section 20, Township 139, Range 33, Crow Wing Lake Township on 3rd Crow Wing Lake, a recreational development lake, parcel 06.20.00200. Applicants are requesting Part 1 and after-the-fact variance from Sections 502.2 of the Shoreland Management Ordinance for a platform located within the 100-foot ordinary high water mark setback and a 50-foot road right-of-way setback, and Part 2, a variance from Section 702A3 of the Shoreland Management Ordinance for a proposed expansion of a non-conforming dwelling located in the shore impact zone. So thank you, sir. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Sure. This is John Chuba, 23742 State 87, Nevis, Minnesota.
thank you, Mr. Chuba, and if you could go ahead and state your request.
Okay, so as far, and good evening, Board. As far as the part one, the patio, there was an existing asphalt patio, driveway, and actually what looked appear, that was a boat ramp going towards the lake. I don't know when that was put in. I can only assume since it was asphalt, it would have probably been done at some point when 87 was being worked on at some point years ago. When we discovered it, because the property hadn't been used for about 20 years, according to the neighbors, they don't recall the owners that we bought from that they had been up there for 20 years. So we were clearing up the property, and we discovered that there was asphalt in this large area. And the more we raked and the harder we raked, the more asphalt we found. The asphalt was damaged. Again, I have to assume or make a fairly reasonable guess why the asphalt was damaged at one point, because it was damaged along what would be the clean-out line going to the septic tank. There was a line cutting across the patio there going towards the septic tank, so I think at some point a new line was put in. They dug up the asphalt there and then patched it either with the asphalt that they dug up or with patch asphalt. So it was very rough, and so at that point we thought, well, we wouldn't just expose it, clean it, seal it, and leave it. We thought, well, this probably is kind of dangerous. So we started digging it up, and we dug an area a lot larger than the patio that we poured. The asphalt was closer, if you want to call it the patio, that was closer to the lake by about a foot or two, somewhere around there. But then you also had the driveway or boat ramp that was going down. So we removed quite a large area of asphalt, and then we poured a concrete patio in line with the building. We didn't go beyond the building towards the lake or beyond the retaining wall towards the side yard. We kind of just squared that up and poured that patio. We didn't know that we needed a permit for that since we were replacing existing. And I'm not too sure all of you saw it, but I know I point out when you were out visiting, I did show you where the asphalt was still exposed because it goes up the hill towards the road, and we put stepping stones on a section of that, and there's the asphalt was about 4 inches thick on that. So as far as the patio goes, I'm asking that you would approve that we're able to leave the patio there and not have to take that patio up. But I would suggest that a stipulation put in so that we obviously would know, but any future owners would know that that could never be enclosed. So if you could improve it with a stipulation saying that that could never be enclosed, to expand the square footage of the cabin itself, to have a screened room or a sunroom or a porch or anything, that you would approve it as is, but that it could never be enclosed. So any future owner down the road would know that the patio is the patio, you can't enclose it, you can't make that cabin bigger that way. As far as part two, the problem with this cabin is, and I hesitate calling it a bathroom, there's a toilet stall and then there's a shower stall with a sink. The toilet stall area is basically 2 foot by 4 foot, with a doorway that's 21 inches wide to access that stall. There is a concrete block wall behind it, there's windows in front of it, and the shower stall room and the toilet stall area are divided by the hallway. There was no way to expand that bathroom. I looked just to see, and I kind of dealt with this when I was in maintenance, but I looked at what the ADA requirements were for a bathroom, like what's a normal size bathroom. And ADA, just for a toilet stall, requires clearance of basically 5 foot by 5 foot. It's like 60 inches by 59 inches just for a toilet stall. And we have 24 inches by 4 feet for that toilet stall. If you remember it, I had, a couple of months ago, I was looking at doing a variance, and at that point, we were looking at expanding it, building on top of the patio, going up and making the cabin bigger. And then when that was denied, and I'd realized that we failed to address the patio issue, this is why we reapplied. But that bathroom is still an issue. So on the main floor, as you walk into the cabin, you have the kitchen, then you walk through the split bathroom area into a small living room, and then there's the bedroom. The reason for the expansion a couple of months ago when we were thinking about it, we thought, well, we have to put a stairway upstairs, so that's why we were wanting to enclose the patio, put the stairway there, build on, and then we would be making this a lot bigger. This plan, I think, is a good compromise because I think we're able to fix the problem of having a bathroom that even my sister can't use because she is partly handicapped and can't use her bathroom, is that we would eliminate the toilet stall and the shower stall. We would eliminate the bedroom. The bedroom would, on the basement, the bedroom would be where we would put the stairway. And because it is so narrow, we can't just go straight up. We have to do an L shape. So we'll take up the entire space of the basement bedroom for the stairway to the main floor, and then simply just put a normal size bathroom and bedroom and probably a closet or two, because there are no closets in there, over where the kitchen and living room and toilets all currently sit. It would make it very easy to put it because by eliminating the toilet in the basement, we could plumb into that 4-inch pipe or hole, whatever you want to call it, for the bathroom up above. So basically the cabin is we would just take the roof and go up 7 feet. We don't need tall walls. We won't even go standard 8-foot walls. The basement is 7 foot. We'll do the main level 7 foot. So, and the way, if you look at the picture, the way that basement was built, they built the concrete block basement, then they cantilevered around it 2 foot larger than the basement, and those are floor joists. And then they never built the main floor. At some point, they put a pitched roof, because there was a flat roof on there, and they put a pitched roof on top of the floor joist. So we would remove that, and we would just go up on that cantilever platform and go straight up, and then do the same pitch roof. We'd go up 7 foot, do the same pitch roof, do no soffits, because now we're at where the cantilever is. So we won't be getting any closer to the lake, any closer to the road, any closer to the neighbor's lot. We're just asking to just raise that roof 7 feet. So when we're looking at that, we're looking at the patio. We took something that was already non-conforming because of all the asphalt, and we made it less non-conforming by making it a lot smaller with the concrete. And then with the cabin, we're not expanding the footprint at all. We're not even expanding the use of the cabin at all. It will be a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. It'll just be a bathroom that you could actually fit. I brought, just for a visual, I took a plastic garbage bag today. This plastic garbage bag is 3 foot by 4 foot, and this is bigger than our bathroom. It's just, I thought that, I don't know why someone was allowed to build a bathroom that big. So I think we're we're being very reasonable with the request. It's also very fitting in the neighborhood, because I know when we look at, what you're doing with the structure, how does it fit in the neighborhood? Our neighbor to the west, 2 doors down, has a similar, they have a concrete block walkout basement, then the main level on top, and but they're bigger. And then the neighbor across the river from us has a concrete block basement walkout with a cabin, and they're bigger. We'll still be the smallest cabin on the lake, and we're not going to be blocking anyone's view. We're the view of the highway. And I just think that this would be a reasonable compromise to make this cabin a lot more suitable to use, especially because of the bathroom situation that, you can't get a wheelchair in there, you can't get, I mean, I have a hard time using the bathroom. And by just moving the bedroom and the bathroom up, we're not increasing any usage of the, I think at the last meeting, I think it was Mike had a concern that, well, if we make it bigger, then there's a lot more use, and we've got a holding tank, and then you've got more use of the septic system. That won't happen with this, because it'll remain a one-bedroom, one-bath, and we're really not making any more room for people to use the cabin, because the kitchen's staying the same size, the living room's staying the same size, and we're using the area for the main floor bedroom for the stairway. So really all we're doing is making the bedroom a normal size and the bathroom a suitable size.
What size did you say that bathroom was?
2 foot by 4 foot is the size of the bathroom
I've heard a few
stall.
different measurements. What?
There's a toilet side, and then there's a shower.
And then the
side.
shower,
Just
yeah.
the toilet.
The toilet is 2 foot by 4 foot with a 21-inch door.
So legal state code is 36 inches by 50 inches.
That's what I mean. It's like
30
this,
inches.
yeah, it's 30 inches. We have 24 by 48. And so we don't even meet state code on the bathroom that's there.
Was it that way when you bought it?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
And-
I'm gonna go ahead and separate this into part one
Yeah.
and part two, just
Yeah.
because we have a couple different things going
Right.
on here.
Right.
So,
More than two, it's small, but.
yeah,
2
so I'm gonna
feet
go
by
ahead and
10,
open
you
for
can
public
sit.
comment.
It's big enough to sit
And
in.
then there's no public comment, so I'll close public comment. So if we could go ahead and address part one first, the platform. Then we can move on with the next one, because the platform seems pretty cut and dry, like we mentioned before, that, we didn't go that far last time.
Yeah.
And I do see that it seems,
In the summertime, do you mow the little bit of area you have between the platform and the lake?
No, that's more natural. We have a little mower there, so you can mow up kind of where the driveway is, but that whole lot kind of slopes. The state there, on the other side of our septic tank, there is a hole in the ground. I thought, what animal is digging this hole in the ground? Well, the sewer for State 87 is right there. But on our side,
The point is that in trying to mitigate that platform, the concrete platform,
Sure.
if there were some, at least no mow buffer between it and
oh yeah,
the
we
lake.
don't mow that. Yeah.
So if we put a condition in that you had to leave that as a
Make that
no-mow
natural.
area,
Yeah.
that would be okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We like the natural look of that. We had a mower there just mowing up by the highway, but that area there, yeah.
this is Veronica, the platform area serves as the primary entry point into the dwelling, so it's, a good spot for it, so no reason to not have it there. I'm in favor of retaining the platform.
And if I could just point out too, the area where the shower is, where it says 4 by 8, that the hot water heater's there, and then a little sink that's about this big, and then a 30-inch shower. And then the doorway into that is 29 inches in entryway. So it just, like I said, there's no one that would need any kind of assistance, which I'm getting there pretty soon. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to use that bathroom the way it's set up for anybody, really.
Okay, so back to the platform.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Do you have any questions or comments from the board? Otherwise, I'm going to make a motion. This is Veronica. I'm going to make a motion that we approve the part one after the fact platform as presented, with the condition that there's the a no-mow zone be directly between the platform and the lake to filter the stormwater runoff that comes off the platform.
Would you want to specify the size of the no-mow area Just in case they want to clean around it, they're like 5, must be at least 5 feet or just, or say, what makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Is 5 feet suitable for everyone?
Yeah.
Maximum depth of 5 feet?
I know mow at least 5 feet.
Okay.
You don't mow it, but someone might want to trim around the edge of the platform or something like that.
Right.
Okay.
And I'll adopt the staff's findings of facts.
This is Tim, I'll second that motion for the first part one.
Okay, so part one, the after-the-fact platform for variance 16V-26, motion by myself with the condition that the no-mow zone be directly between the platform and the lake to filter the stormwater runoff and the maximum depth of 5 feet. And the second by Timothy. I adopted the staff's findings of facts. Timothy, how do you vote?
This is Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
This is Ken, I vote aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
I could vote
And Veronica, I vote aye, so part one has been approved. So now we're gonna go to part two, which is the expansion part. And just for the record, part two of the application is a new request to enlarge the existing 14 by 36 non-conforming dwelling by adding an 18-foot by 40-foot cantilevered second-story addition to it. The proposed height of the addition would be 19 feet. The current structure height is 12 feet high. The application states that the proposed addition would cause the dwelling to have a 13-foot ordinary high watermark setback and 27-foot road right-of-way setback, where the 50-foot is required for the right-of-way. In the January meeting, the January 2026 board meeting, we had a similar, as the applicant said, we had a similar proposed second-story addition variance request that was denied. It had a 20-foot, so there was a 1-foot height difference and a little bit layout different, a little bit construction.
Well, and we were
difference.
gonna, and we had requested to build on top of that patio.
Correct.
So, yeah, we were gonna add another 14 feet or something like that.
And so
Yeah.
for the record, I'm just gonna go ahead and open for public comment. And seeing none, I close public comment.
You ready for questions?
Yeah, I'm ready for questions.
I don't remember seeing when I was there, but the drawing, or the pictures we have in our packet shows a small, I guess, a fish house,
Oh, yeah, it's
RV or a fish house, right down by the lake. Was that gone when we were there? Is
Yeah,
this-
we don't have a fish house. You might be seeing the neighbor. The neighbor has fish house. We have a little plastic storage shed that we did get approval at the last,
This,
like,
this big blue RV?
that's gone. Yeah, we've removed that.
That's
Yeah.
yours?
That's ours, yeah,
Oh,
but we
it's not
were,
there.
that's not there anymore. Yeah, we moved that out
I
of
was gonna
there.
ask whether that's used in the summertime for
Yeah. no,
living
we-
or not. No, that's
We had
gone.
addressed that at the last meeting, but we decided to go ahead and remove
I
it.
didn't see it, and then I
Yeah,
see this
yeah.
picture, I thought, oh, okay, it's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's gone, but the plastic shed is still there.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I was looking at things on the internet, you're selling this place? I saw,
We've put it up for sale a couple of times, but a friend of ours is a realtor, and she said, well, if you're gonna try to sell it, put it on the market now. Our situation is we have a restaurant in Hackensack that was up for sale last year and sold, and the lady made payments on it for a year, and then we had to cancel the purchase agreement because she ran into financial problems. So we're trying to finish a house in Pine River, so we were gonna use the money from the restaurant. So then our friend realtor said, well, put the cabin back on sale and see if we can sell either one. We don't wanna sell the cabin, but we have an unfinished house that we're trying to finish. So we really don't want to sell it. It's just that if we're going to put it on the market, we thought we'd put it on the market now and see if there's any interest. There was a little bit of interest, but honestly, there was a family of three children that looked at it, and it's too small. There was another person who looked at it and said, well, it's kind of close to the highway. We like it. We enjoy it. It's just that it's the bathroom that's driving us nuts. So we did put it on the market only just to see if we could sell it so we could finish our house, since we ran into problems with the restaurant. Now, the lady who fell out of grace with us buying the restaurant is back in, so it looks like we're gonna sell the restaurant after all, so we'll probably yank this off the market. Then as soon as we get a purchase agreement on the restaurant, we're gonna pull this back off the market. Because we like it, it's suitable it's great for two people to use when you want, but unless you gotta go to the bathroom. Like I said, we're really not changing anything other than just taking that roof and stretching it up 7 feet and not adding any additional bedrooms or bathrooms. Because there won't be any room for it. It's just, you know, we're putting that stairway inside.
This is Ken speaking, just for perspective. The structure's 15 feet from the lake. It's well into even the shore impact zone.
Right.
Which is an area which we really are not in tune with, very reluctant to allow any construction expansion
Right.
within that shore impact zone.
Sure.
And the fact that you're literally, I don't know, raising it 7, 8 feet right along the road makes it more, I'll say, unfriendly looking. So I'm having a hard time thinking any differently than the last time you proposed, that this expansion in this location, under the conditions, this lot just isn't made for that. What's there is a cute little place, a nice little place, but to expand it just doesn't make sense to me.
I understand your concerns. When you look at it from the street, because it's a walkout, I mean, honestly, from the street, you see, of the basement, you see about 3 foot of wall. So by putting 7 feet on top of that, you're really not creating a large thing that's gonna, if you look across the river, their house basically is just about as close to the road as ours is. They actually have a garage built on their house where they back out onto the highway. We don't have that. I could see if we were doing a garage or expanding. This structure is about the size of a 1.5 car garage. It's not even the square footage of a 2-car garage. 2-car garage is 24 by 24, basically.
Right.
This is 14 by, I forget what it is, 30, 32. And I know last time when we talked, we were kind of concerned about water runoff and stuff, so I'd proposed doing a tall roof towards the lake and then sloping down. And then Veronica brought up the fact that would be a 20-foot wall towards the lake. This is a 7-foot wall with a 7-foot wall. Our neighbor is an 8-foot wall with an 8-foot wall with a higher pitched roof. They're a lot larger in the same position. They're just right across the river from us.
This is
Plus,
for-
we're surrounded by trees, which kind of hide the structure, but you're looking at 7 foot and 7 foot.
Yeah, well, this is Veronica speaking. I understand trying to compare to the neighboring lots.
Sure.
Your lot is, 7,428 square feet in
Yeah.
a triangular shape, with a very minimum depth. It only has 72 feet of depth. This structure is 504 square feet in footprint. It's small for that small little lot.
Yeah.
I honestly would be more open to enclosing the patio just that little bit to give you a bathroom, to
Yeah.
give you space to make a bigger bathroom, than I am in favor of increasing the height because you're in the shore impact zone. Like in some areas, you're 12 feet from the water or less. From the ordinary high water mark.
That's,
And for
that's a
us-
third option I didn't consider.
Well, I mean, in my eyes, if you were gonna enclose something and just, because the height wouldn't change. You wouldn't change the closeness to the lake. I mean, if you needed a little bit bigger bathroom, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
That's a
No, that- and
completely
that-
different thing.
And that's a good option
than it would
because,
be.
yeah, well, and that is a good option because we need a bigger bathroom. And honestly, enclosing that would,
But going up for myself personally,
Yeah.
I cannot answer number 1, I cannot answer number 3. I'm not in favor of increasing that height when you're in the shore impact zone.
Right.
At 10 feet, 12 feet from the edge of the water, and for us bumping that up. You're 1 foot different than your last proposal, and my findings haven't changed because of that. Like I said, now, a completely different thing, because the only thing you're really telling me that you're wanting to gain is a bigger bathroom.
yeah, that is. Yeah,
And then,
that really
that
is.
seems to me what I would do is just to request that
A
space.
little bump out.
A little, well, just
Well,
closing
then close
the
that.
patio.
Well,
and then-
the sewer line's there, so it'd be easy to put a bathroom there.
Anyhow, so at this point, I'm not in favor of approving this application with multiple reasons as
Sure,
number one. Number two, for number three, the lot, like I mentioned, 7,400 square feet, and it just doesn't, it is a unique situation, so I get that. That would be the reason. But the height is what I can't get past, the height in the shore impact zone. So personally, I'm going to have to not agree and deny part two.
So are the neighbors not, like the one across, I'm just asking, the neighbor across the river, they're not in the shore impact zone, that taller one, do you
They
know?
might be, but they have probably a slightly larger lot.
Oh,
than
they're
you
lots,
have.
yeah, I think they're a little bit closer to
And
the
they're-
road, but.
They're probably a little bit further away from the lake too, because they have a little more grass in the front of the yard. I looked at it when I was there too.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. Oh, sure.
It's just the situation, you don't have a lot of options.
Right, right,
This option I'm not in favor of.
right.
There could be some possibilities, like I said, of that. I can't speak for all of my
Right,
members.
right.
But that would be an option to me that's much clearer than this option. But again,
Yeah, no, I'm
that's-
open to suggestions because if we decide to keep that, that would be a good option, and that would be a separate application.
but that's
And is
something
that a
that-
year down the road? Because I think Eric had mentioned one time that when you get denied, do you have to wait a year?
that's
or
a completely different approach though.
So
So
that'd
I
be a
don't
different
think you'd
approach, so
have to
we
wait a
could.
year.
This is Tim speaking. So I am a plumber, and I would make the bathroom usable in the 500 square feet you have, very easily.
Okay, how?
And,
How can I do it, like in that?
no, what's your priority? You got only 500 square feet. You want a nice bathroom, you make it the size you want it, and you plumb it, and you put walls around it, and that's what you have inside. I'm not in favor of any expansion outside, because the lot's too small, and it shouldn't be expanded, because it's just gonna encourage more people with more cars and more parking, and so that's just where I'm at. I would fix your bathroom problem inside.
Well, and that's what the problem is, where the electric panel is, where the windows are, and because we have that other concrete block wall between the kitchen and the bathrooms. If that weren't a concrete block wall, I would have done just what I would have just taken some room from the kitchen, but we have another concrete block wall there. I don't know why they
Take a
built that like
sledgehammer
that.
to it.
Are you good with the sledgehammer? And I'm fine with that. We're just trying to find an answer to that. So I completely understand. That lot is small. You don't want the bigger house. I understand. Yeah.
So, all right, well, anybody ready to make a motion?
Someone else, I've been making all of them tonight. But Tim, you can do it.
This is Veronica. I make a motion that we deny the application 16-B-26, Part 1, or I'm sorry, this is Part 2 of the variance application for the expansion, and adopt the staff's findings of facts.
All right.
This is Ken, I'll second it.
Okay, with the second by Ken. Timothy, how do you vote?
This is Tim, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
This is Ken, I vote aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Like I vote aye.
And this is Veronica. I vote aye. The application, Part 2, has been denied, so.
Nope. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you
I
so
appreciate
much.
you guys. Yeah, I
Have
appreciate the input.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, thanks. You too.
Okay, next item on the agenda, variance application 17-B-26 by Lance and Ruth Bergstrom, lots 3, 4, and 5, Block 2, West Pine Cone, Section 35, Township 141, Range 34, Lake Emma Township on Big Sand Lake, a recreational development lake, parcel 16.37.50800. Applicants are requesting after-the-fact variances from Part 1, Section 902.1H of the Shoreland Management Ordinance for grading done in a bluff impact zone, Part 2, Section 901.2C of the Shoreland Management Ordinance for creating an area in the shore impact zone that is devoid of vegetative cover, and Part 3, Sections 502.2 and 503 of the Shoreland Management Ordinance for a deck placed within the 100-foot ordinary high watermark setback and bluff impact zone. So, Thank you again, Ms. Swanson. If you could please state your name and address for the record and for the applicant.
Sarah Swanson, counsel for the applicants, 120 North Main Avenue, Park Rapids.
Okay, and let's break these down into the parts, please, parts 1, parts 2, and parts 3, and we'll just go over each one at a time.
Okay, sure. Part 1 is essentially the bluff excavation and backfill. It is an after-the-fact variance. This particular situation, as I guess I included in the application, started as fixing the legal pre-existing non-conforming. I think it's getting a little too late on a Monday night. Anyway, there was a retaining wall there. The project started in just an effort to fix that retaining wall because it was bowing, it was cracking, it had not been initially made properly. When the project began in removing the pre-existing wall, it became apparent to the contractors how precarious the slope was. They had had some prior experiences where a retaining wall was not put in place properly. The entire slope washed out in the middle of the project. So that necessitated or begat the need to shore up the retaining wall by adding a lower additional retaining wall to just increase the strength, decrease the pressure, I guess, on the one retaining wall. It's essentially a typical engineering project of a tiered wall system. The reason that they did not stop the work and then obtain a variance in order to build the second retaining wall was, just as I had said, the precarious nature of the slope, a heavy rain. The contractors were concerned that it could, things could really wash out, creating a much bigger problem. So on that issue, I have provided proposed findings of fact in the explanation. The staff report also has proposed findings of fact, and we would essentially rest on those or ours.
Okay.
And I'll leave it at that on
Sure.
the first part.
Perfect. Okay. Just for the record, I'm going to open and close public comment as there's no one in the audience. Do I have any questions from the board members about part 1?
No, it seems pretty reasonable.
So these two young guys that were out there were the engineers, you said?
They were the contractors. M&J Landscaping, I believe, is their company.
My opinion is they did a little more work than they probably needed to do. The second wall is just as high as the back one. I don't know why you had to do that. And the first wall that you replaced, that already was bowed. That creates strength in just that. But I don't understand why the second one had to be built.
You mean, when you say bowed, you mean how it kind of arcs around toward the lake?
It was pushed out.
Well, I think, as it was explained to me, because of course I'm not an engineer, but basically because of the sandy nature of the soil, the steep slope, and the fact that that existing retaining wall, it had proven over the years to not be sufficient. It was cracked, it was bowing out, it was a potential issue. They wanted to shore it up and then decided to do the 2-tier to prevent I guess just to increase the stabilization, to decrease the amount of pressure on the one retaining wall.
Yeah.
This is Veronica speaking. I don't have a problem retaining the, keeping it there in place and keeping the second one in place. Staff did suggest that a possible condition having a natural vegetation planted there in between the two, because it's, I don't know if there's any reason or not to. It's up. Do you have any questions on that, or anybody has any comments on that?
I don't think the homeowner would have any objection to that.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch it. What did you say there?
If any plants, some natural vegetation be planted in between those two walls is what the staff suggests for any possible condition of approval for that area for part one. I suppose it could help.
It'd be nice, I don't know how necessary it is to hold anything, but it would be a good thing to do.
For cover, I mean, at least also
Yeah.
help cover some of that
Otherwise-
wall.
Otherwise, eventually run onto it and run off then.
Run right down, it'll give it a little bit more,
Yeah. Okay.
I guess on that, we may look to, would the staff make a recommendation on what kind of vegetation would be required?
I mean, go ahead, Eric.
I think any shoreline vegetation that has deep roots, it's easy to, you know. I'm trying to think of all of, from all the, when
Right.
I had mine redone, it's SWCD.
Okay,
You go to them and just say, you know, what would you plant there?
I
You
know-
probably don't want like red osier dogwoods or that grow up high at all, but there's a lot of, you know, Canadian anole, is that the, anola?
Some low-growing stuff there that
Yeah,
can be
there
planted
are
in.
some low-growing flower stuff that has deep-rooted, and I can't remember all the names, but
That's-
they would know.
Environmental, Eric
If
has
I
some.
had that folder with me, I could do it, but SWCD is,
sure.
you could just say shoreline erosion protection plants and,
Yeah. Go ahead, Eric.
I was gonna suggest any type of prairie seed mix.
yeah.
Okay.
Little Blue Stem has a really good deep root system. It would help with keeping moisture out of there by the plants using it, and it doesn't grow super high, and there's plenty of wildflowers that would make that attractive.
Sure, I know that when you're out there, you can see it's nearly impossible for much to grow in that area. It's quite covered in pine needles, so, but I'm sure they can figure out how to get it to work.
Might be challenging then,
Yeah,
possibly.
I think you already said just some prairie. You could buy
Yep.
a couple of containers of prairie seed, and throw it down there. It looked like it was good enough soil. Could throw it down there, it would grow.
Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve part one of the after-the-fact retaining wall application as presented and adopt the staff's findings and facts, but I'm gonna have the condition that native vegetation be planted behind the new retaining wall. Do I have a second?
This is Tim, I'll second that motion.
And a second by Timothy. Tim, how do you vote?
This is Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
This is Ken, a vote aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Mike, I vote aye.
And myself, I vote aye, so part one has been approved with the conditions, with a condition. And now part two, the sand beach.
yes, okay, part two, the sand beach, located, as you can see in the picture, just right in front of the retaining wall system. As explained in the explanation, that project had a couple of different reasons why it was started, but essentially, there was riprap across the entire shoreline. Integrated into that riprap was a trolley, like a type of trolley track or railroad
On that
type.
first drawing that Eric
Okay,
had.
yeah, thank you. That is in pictures submitted with the application. They wanted that removed because it was rusting, it was dangerous, it was not used.
Well,
And-
that and putting in that wall, that second wall we just talked about, came right across where the upper end of it is.
Yes.
To put that wall in, they would have had to take that track out. Okay. So
Yeah, that certainly makes sense, yeah. I know that the homeowner had wanted it to be removed anyway, just to get it out of the lake. The riprap was removed or moved because of moving the trolley tracks out of there. The homeowner was under the mistaken impression, I believe as were the contractors, that they could bring in up to 5 yards of sand without a permit, and therefore the sand was brought in. You can see in the picture on the screen the vegetation that was there. That is the violation, that the area was made devoid of vegetation. It's quite minimal, so they're not objecting to the fact that that is what they, was the result of what happened in bringing in the sand, but it wasn't any, I would say, overt action to cut down trees or remove a lot of shrubbery. There just wasn't a lot there.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna, again, for this part 2, I'm gonna open and close for public comment as there's no one in the audience.
So there was riprap rock there with that track?
You can kind of see it there, like, on the picture that's up,
Yeah.
that the trolley track, the riprap had kind of maybe settled in around and somewhat over the trolley track.
Okay.
The riprap was kind of messy, I guess, there. But you can see there was some minimal riprap.
Well, it's quite clear this is a major violation, and according to the record, apparently, they were told that it was not allowed to be done and still went ahead and did it. Do you have any knowledge as to why they went and did it, even when they were told it was not, they couldn't? When I say they, the owner or the contractors, I mean, they maybe did what they were told, but
Yeah, as it was explained to me, the understanding of their understanding of being able to bring in up to 5 yards of sand, I think that was the impression that even the contractors had, that they could do that. Anything beyond that was their understanding that they would need a variance, and so they, I guess tried to keep it minimal and under that 5 yard area. But that was their understanding, and that's why they moved ahead with bringing in what they did.
Eric, help me out. They're allowed to move 5 yards of dirt in the zone once a year, right? Move dirt, but that does not include bringing in any sand to make a beach. Is that,
Correct. And that's what my staff communicated to the contractors
okay,
on June 10th when he met them on site.
okay. If we deny this, that would include a requirement that they remove that sand. Is that true? Okay.
By June 1st.
and restore it to whatever condition it was. It was more just dirt and
Pine needles.
vegetation and pine needles.
Vegetation. Natural vegetation, not a sand beach.
Okay. Well, I don't know, it's pretty straightforward. Should I make a motion?
Yep.
Yes.
I'm gonna make a motion that, part two be denied. I don't have to state what I want them to do. You take care of that, right, Eric?
It's already been communicated.
I don't have to, in my motion, make a statement of what they have to do or fix it up. It's just that the motion is denied, or I make a motion that part two be denied, and we will accept the staff's findings of fact.
This is Timothy, I'll second the motion.
Okay, so there's a motion by Ken to deny part two, the sand beach, and accept the staff's findings of fact. The second by Tim. Timothy, how do you vote?
This is Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Mike, I vote aye.
And this is Veronica. I also vote aye, so part two has been denied. And again, they'll have to follow up with the violation letter date deadline.
If I could just make
Yep,
comment.
and then part three.
Okay, I was just gonna say as a comment, the best thing is just fill that whole thing in with riprap, and it would be the best for the shoreline.
Okay, part three is going to be the deck.
Okay.
When we, can I ask a question? Having adopted the findings of fact, that includes the add-on after the fact statements that are in the report, is that right?
Okay, moving forward with part three, this is related to the deck on the property. The applicants purchased the property in 2024. The deck was built in 2002, so it was part of the reason of why they purchased the property, the deck being in place. We can only speculate, of course, as to why it was built in the way that it was. But what I would offer to the board is in the way of the findings of fact. I had provided findings of fact in the application, and there were some provided also in the staff report. But in this case, what we would ask is that the board, well, let me back up a second. In the staff report, the recommendation was given to be able to leave the deck as it is, but not be able to perform structural maintenance. And when the deck then reaches its natural life, the homeowners would have to, as I understand that recommendation, remove the deck and proceed by variance if they wanted to rebuild the deck. So as far as findings of fact go in approving the deck in its current location, essentially, if the deck being in harmony with the general purposes and intents of the ordinance, and I would submit to the board that yes, it is in harmony with the ordinance. The deck has been there for many years. It is very well screened by mature trees. I don't think it can be seen by the lake. And I would also add that much of the deck, almost all of the deck was built over an existing cement slab. And so there was already an impervious surface there, which was in place, I think it was in place in 1945. You can see in the concrete that is there that it's, etched into the concrete that it was there. And the deck that was built over it was only built several feet farther lakeward than that existing concrete slab. The other concern is that if the deck is allowed to remain, but structural maintenance cannot be done to the deck, that seems to present obvious safety issues. And I also think that to allow a deck on a property like this, on a lake like Big Sand, to fall into disrepair would not be in conformity with the general character of the locality. As I had mentioned earlier, in proceeding here now by variance, the homeowner would not be able to change the footprint of the deck. They would not be able to change, enlarge it at all. They have no desire to enlarge it. They would be strictly bound to the existing footprint. There is nothing that the owner could have done to comply with controls because this was there before purchasing the property. And given that there is such a steep slope on this property, to allow the deck to maintain or to be left where it's at, we would again submit to the board that it just allows, protection of the slope and the integrity of the slope to just not disturb the hillside any more than needs to be done. The other thing here too is that is the need for the variance due to circumstances unique to the property and not created by the current or prior property owners? I noticed that that was not responded to by staff, and my response there is that yes, the need for the variance is unique to this property. It has an extremely steep slope, and given the nature of where the where the home was built, many decades pre-ordinance, this is really the only location on the lake side of the property to have a deck.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. I'm going to go ahead and open and close public comment. Any questions or comments from the board?
This is Ken, and I'm digging through all the paperwork one more time to find. There was a deck originally permitted at 40 by 47 feet.
That was the 2002 permit?
Yes, issued. They built larger than that. I can't find a drawing that went with that permit.
There wasn't one.
There wasn't one.
There wasn't one, okay. And yet they built one that encroaches, if I got the numbers right, 8 feet into the bluff, not even up to the bluff. And I realized maybe there was stuff there before. So not only did they not build what they were permitted to build, but they did a major nonconformance, if you will, by building into the bluff about 8 feet. And part of me says, maybe, unfortunately, there's not a drawing for the 40 by 47, but as a minimum, that deck should be 40 by 47. And I realize it's been there 25 years now. I don't know, what kind of condition is it in? I didn't get a chance to look at that.
I was there today, this is Tim speaking, and it's pretty sketchy. It's pretty rotted underneath there. It's gonna need
Gonna have to be replaced fairly soon.
work soon.
Okay, anybody else?
It has, this is Veronica, it does have some pretty soft boards in some areas.
Okay.
And Mike had also, or I'm sorry, and Larry had also made the comments during lot views that, it was soft and needing some replacement parts for sure.
say that we would be reasonable and require them to revert back to a 47 by 40, which was permitted,
Does that,
and she'll come up with a design for it and tear down what's there now that it's gonna have to be fairly soon? I'm talking out loud here now.
Eric, would you be able to scroll to the drawing that was provided, or that was drawn by Cal that we provided with our application? I could go grab it from my file too, but
I think, yeah, I found it on here as well. It's towards the end.
That's what I was looking for. I've been thinking,
At least taking off that
Okay.
8 feet of deck that hangs over into the bluff would at least get them to that other permit sizing, correct? That'd be real close to the 47, or still over?
what's 40 by
so.
47?
I'm gonna grab mine.
80 square feet.
It still is over, but it's 47 by 50, but
Is that what that says, 47 by
it
50?
says 46.5
Okay, thank you.
by 50. Looking at the photos that are also submitted in the application, you could see where they went right over that deck with that little bump out, causing that additional 8 feet. It shows pretty clear in the one photo.
I think, of course, the homeowner would like their application to be allowed as it was presented. However, if the board is inclined to say, when there needs to be a replacement, as the staff report suggested, when there would need to be structural maintenance of that, that they go back to that 47 by 40? Or at least, I guess probably the first preference would be back to that dashed line showing the bluff.
Eric, if they were required to tear the whole thing down, they would by permit be able to build something 40 by 47, because no?
That permit was issued based on what they provided for information, which was that it would be 100 feet back from the OHW. The 100-foot setback falls a few feet
this is
in
only-
front of that side addition that was made to the original cabin.
Oh, so that permit said it was gonna be 100 feet back, 47 by 40. Oh, the house isn't even 100 feet.
Right.
No.
Oh, okay.
So the information provided in the permit application was misrepresented as to,
Yeah.
if we'd have known that it was gonna be placed there, it wouldn't have been issued.
They would need a variance to just build a deck then, a new one.
Correct.
How does one know when it reaches the point where the deck's gotta be replaced versus maintenance? Because I noticed several boards had been replaced when I walked on it. It's when they say they're going to, or could they just keep replacing things?
After seeing it in person at the lot view, it's in rougher shape than the photos would indicate, and my guess is it was painted to try to hide its condition, like one of the main posts holding that prow that extends out over the crest. The top,
Yeah.
the bottom 2 to 3 inches of that support post are rotted completely away. The post is just hanging there.
That's not-
So I'd say it's probably at or very close to the point of needing.
Could collapse.
I believe it was painted before my clients purchased the property.
It looked newly painted.
Would jive.
If we denied this, they would have to tear that deck down and then come back with an application, a variance application for a new deck that would meet some requirements. At least that 15% rule would probably apply, right? That we kind of use
Go into
for,
the bluff impact zone with that.
The deck was,
A deck per that allowance isn't allowed to go into the 30-foot bluff setback. So you'd be looking at, you're looking at a variance no matter what.
okay.
What I would ask here, I mean, in a way, I am asking for some concession in being able to leave the deck as close to as it is as possible. You know, the current owner did not create the problem. They're trying to now, since it's been brought to their attention, get the proper permit. But of course, the request, the request is just because it's there. They invested a substantial amount into this property, including the deck, unbeknownst to them of the situation. If the board would allow, here with the after-the-fact variance with a condition that the size be reduced when structural maintenance is required, or maybe even clarify that language, that would be very appreciated.
This is Veronica speaking. I understand the situation when you purchase a property and you say, oh, it's got a really nice deck, and oh, well, we've got a really nice platform on the other side. I have it both ways, though. Yes, there's a nice deck on the one side, and then you have the nice concrete platform also to view the lake from. So they really have a lot of area to be able to view the lake from. So to legally have something properly constructed that can somewhat meet our requirements would be a little bit more appropriate, especially because we know they do have some other on the other side, that northwest corner, I believe it is.
Which I do believe all of the cement platforms that are there are
Correct, yep.
pre-ordinance.
Yep, legal nonconformings. So, but my point is that there's a lot of area to utilize for the applicants. So reducing this side, there's still a lot of area, the whole concrete side over there as well. I mean, I'm in favor also if, when it comes time to remove it, replace it, whether it becomes a variance and they have to go that route, or whether we make a size. I mean, I'm open, but there's a lot of space that they already have view, so we've got that covered.
I think myself, it's there now, so, for a replacement. So, I'm not in favor of it. I'm saying deny it, and then they come back for another variance.
Okay,
From what I observed too, there's enough rot under there, it isn't gonna last very long, but who's gonna make the determination of when to replace it?
the life.
If it's the owner, well, they're just gonna patch and
The safety.
not do anything.
Yeah, he could put new posts and,
Yeah, well, this is Veronica. I know they have a lot of area to utilize to have their lake observations, the lake view. So, I can be in favor of denying this, and they can apply a variance, apply for a variance to replace it properly.
can I offer maybe one more thought? if my numbers are right, this deck is 440 square feet larger than what was permitted, 47 by 40. If they cut it off about there, they probably could get it back close to that
But that permit would not have been permitted because
because of the 100-foot setback.
and the bluff crest
Yeah,
setback.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if the bluff was in it originally. Okay, I was
The bluff
just,
regulations were in place at the time the permit was issued.
Yeah, the bluff regulations were in place at the time that permit was
Okay.
issued.
so that would say they'd have to be 30 feet back from
The crest.
that dotted line.
In this case, there is that existing concrete
Non-conforming underneath platform?
no, actually to the, I guess it would maybe be west, northwest of the deck. It's sort of the walkway between the deck and the cement on the other side. Since that's there, and I don't know this, so I guess I'm asking the question, wouldn't they be able to build the deck out to that
This whole area.
area, and then, yeah, right there? Wouldn't the deck be able to go out to that point?
Is there any of that concrete platform underneath the existing deck?
Yes.
But it doesn't go out that far? I mean, not where I
I
walked.
think it goes
Well,
out pretty
That front
close.
part was built in
That little spot
1920
there.
something when they built the house, right? Mm-hmm. So that's just part of the,
I think the concrete platform, I don't have the exact measurement of that, but what's under the deck is very near to the extension lakeward to match this picture that we're looking at here. Because in that regard, that cement is under the deck. It will be an impervious surface there, even if the deck is gone.
Sure, but if we go through a few more photos down where we can see the underside of the deck,
they got a big platform area there, they can,
yeah, so that one that you just passed was a spot too, where we could see up there underneath. There's quite a bit of the deck that overhangs that doesn't have that cement.
yeah, see.
But I could see some rock that it could be.
All the way, you could go
But
all
you
the
could
way
see
back
back.
to this side here. There.
Ken, are you saying that support beam that we're seeing there? Is that what you're suggesting?
Or that beam probably is, that would, I don't know if it's,
So,
it's a wrong thought because of the fact that it's into the bluff and so on. I was just trying to say, well, it was permitted 4740. If we made them cut it back to that size, you would go with the permit. But if the permit were,
issued incorrectly.
was improperly issued, because of information that was given that was incorrect, so my alternative probably is not a good one.
Eric, this is Veronica speaking. If the applicant is able to review the file further, and if this gets denied, and upon removing the deck, and they establish that they have very much similar concrete platform that matches the other side of the northwest side that is legal nonconforming, then in that situation, would they be able to retain that since it's illegal nonconforming, or they would have identification that it was there prior to the deck over on top, and that they could utilize that as a footprint?
Yeah, Potentially, I mean, when I was out there, I tried looking under that, and without crawling under there and getting very
Right.
dirty, I couldn't see any
Sure.
concrete, not saying there isn't, I just
Right.
couldn't
I didn't see
see anything.
I didn't see anything under this bump out part for sure, but I wasn't sure if there was a possibility.
Now, they do have that part we showed with the concrete wall in front of the house, and then there's a big patio on the backside and a walkway. There's
Right.
lots of recreation
Correct.
area.
There's lots
That's
of
still
area.
there even without the deck.
That is
So it
correct.
isn't like they have no lake view or no lake,
Correct.
yeah.
That is correct. Okay.
If I may, just one last comment. To have a deck on a cabin like this on Big Sand is very much I would say, in conformity with other parts of the lake. If you look at some other parts of Big Sand, there's cabins that are built nearly at the water's edge. The Pine Cone Resort just down the road from this on Grouse Road is built. Now, there isn't a bluff on that particular property, but it's not unheard of on Big Sand by any means to have, a structure of this nature that.
But they do have a large platform area.
That is
deck
true.
Platform area on the other side of the house, so we aren't completely voiding them of any opportunity for what people want. I mean, having lake view or lake, I don't know, it doesn't show up here. There. They have all kinds of area. There are cooking area, platforms area, seating area. You already got it. There they have that area. Those two are as much as a lot of people have. I don't know, I don't.
This is Veronica. I'm having difficulties. I understand the desire or one of the reasons of purchasing the property a couple of years back, that one of the appealing things of it would be the deck and the platform area up there on the bluff and such locations. But hearing from everyone, I understand the necessary parts as well. It's the number 3.
Well, it's pretty clear the deck is way oversized and would never be approved if we had the appropriate information.
Correct.
Not into the deck,
Not
I
into the
mean,
bluff.
into the bluff zone. We'd want it set back from the bluff zone as far as we possibly could. So we never would approve it if it were from day one.
So it
We
doesn't,
probably would approve or probably would approve a deck of some fashion, given where the home has been for 100 years. But that would be a matter of them coming back and saying, all right, this is what we would propose for a deck, if that has to be removed, right?
yeah.
So,
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to deny Part 3 of Variance Application 17-V-26. First finding, is the variance in harmony with the general purposes and intent of official controls? No. The deck is in the bluff and does not meet the 100-foot lake setback. And number 3, is a need for variance due to circumstances unique to the property and not created by the current or prior property owners? No. The building and deck were constructed in violation of setback. They gave the wrong information to the county. Wouldn't have been approved.
It's not building the permit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the permit for the deck, okay.
Yes.
Was built without the proper information and setbacks, okay? Okay, do I have a second? And you're gonna adopt staff's findings for
Yeah.
2, 4, and 5?
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Tim to deny part 3 of the application. And he created findings of facts for number 1 and number 3. Adopting staff's findings for 2, 4, and 5. And Ken seconded the motion. Timothy, how do you vote?
This is Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
This is Ken, I vote aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Mike, I vote aye.
And this is Veronica, I vote aye. You'll be receiving the decision letter for all 3 parts, 1, 2, and 3, in a few days from the Environmental Services Office.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, miscellaneous communications or communications.
What I've got for you would be relative to the June meeting. We've got 8 applications so far and probably some more to come, so it could be in that 10 to 12 range. And some of them are gonna be time intensive for lot views, so I don't know yet, but just wanted to worst case plan on the possibility of a second day, part of a day for getting them all.
For viewers?
Viewed.
Okay.
And then we'll just have to see with how the meeting goes. It possibly could be a long one. Maybe
So keep Tuesday open.
keep Tuesday open too, just in case.
Happy June.
We've got a couple from April that were tabled that'll be on in addition to the new things. So it's all variances that I know of right now. I'm not aware of any planning commission.
Have the table items been giving you their information already?
Mr. Schroeder has been in, he's working on it. We've not received anything from the Kinney
Okay.
application. And that's what I've got for communication.
Anybody want to make a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, Mike makes a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Ken
Ken,
seconds, okay. Ken, how do you vote?
This is Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
vote aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Mike, I vote aye.
And this is Veronica, meeting adjourned. I vote aye.